This episode of Rock and Roll Icons is sponsored by Dental Implants GPS. I had my teeth replaced by them whenever I started to have issues, and we all know dental problems are no fun at all, and dentures flat out aren't cool. So if you're looking for a really great solution, Dr. Baker and his staff over at Dental Implants GPS are amazing. They do phenomenal work. It's painless. New teeth in a day. And if you call and mention my name, Bodie, they'll give you a Philips Sonicare professional teeth cleaning system. Only to people that mention my name, Bodie. You can reach them at 949-381-5418. That's 949-381-5418. Call them today. This isn't something you want to wait on. Welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll Icons. I'm your host, Bodie James, coming to you from Redemption Studios in Big Bear Lake, California. Today, I have Kevin Godley, who was the drummer and vocalist for 10cc and also Godley and Creme. Now has an incredible solo album out. His first, I believe, called Muscle Memory. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.
Thank you. This album, I gotta say, I was fascinated. I listened to it start to finish. If I said that I saw similarities to The Wall, would you say that I was kind of spot on, or am I off track?
That's interesting. You're the first person who said that. That's a new one. It isn't something that came to mind while I was making it. I can't see that. I can't see the comparison. Why do you think that?
Well, I saw a real political undertone, or actually maybe I saw it more overtly through the album. With Bang Bang Theory and also Cut to the Cat. It seemed like there was a political commentary going on. Did I misinterpret that?
No, not at all. But there are many records that have been made with political commentary, or at least commentary about the times we live in.
Sure.
Yes, I understand what you're saying now. It does resonate somewhat. Yeah, I mean, I think I didn't set out to make an overtly political album. It just happened to be that what was going on in the world at the time, I was looking to write lyrics, and a lot of the things that were happening out there affected me in many ways, and I found myself writing about them, which is something I've never really done before, and that sort of sat with me throughout the whole process, and not 100%. Not every single song has anything political to say, but quite a few do. I don't know, after a while, I ceased being uncomfortable about it and began to feel comfortable about it because I felt it was something worth talking about in music.
Absolutely. And especially with Bang Bang Theory, it was kind of, it kind of almost was a predictor of the insurrection that took place here in the States on January 6th. It was fascinating to me.
Thank you. Well, I could see where it might go. Let's put it this way. I mean, I don't know Mr. Trump at all, and I was only gleaning the information from what I was reading and from what other people were telling me, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I found the whole thing interesting. This record, your fans will find that it's definitely not hook driven by any means.
Well, it was. I mean, that whole 4-year period was fascinating. I mean, uh, he's obviously a real character, one way or another, whether you love him or hate him. So from a writer's point of view, regardless of whether it's music or whether it's a book or whether it's drama or whatever, here's a fascinating character to draw from. And I guess I was just following my instincts as to what was going on and where that might lead.
Yeah, yeah, it was very insightful. On Cut to the Cat, um, there was a lot of commentary there with regard to social media and its direct effect on behavior. Do you find that's a
Yep.
worldwide phenomena, or do you think it's a lot different here in the States? What's your feel there in Ireland?
Well, in Ireland, we sort of separated a little bit from the rest of the world, so we can be a little bit more objective about it. But I think what's going on in America is probably a slightly more exaggerated version of what's going on everywhere else in the Western world. It seems to me like a cycle um, that's come to a logical conclusion and has started to go in the opposite direction in many ways.
Yeah,
But it's very weird. It's like a figure of eight. On the one hand, there are people pushing for a lot more freedom, but also at the same time, they seem to be pushing for a lot less freedom.
yeah,
So it seems to be contradictory in many ways, and I find that kind of confusing.
yeah,
It's like Adolf Hitler with a smiley face. I don't know how else to describe it.
yeah.
It for somebody of my vintage, it's kind of confusing, and that was what I was trying to bring out in the song, I guess. That there seems to be a clear line towards a particular situation, and then there's something that sends it askew, which doesn't quite make sense.
Sure. I'm banging on the door of 60 myself, and
Okay.
things that happened when we were younger are uh, definitely different now. I mean, there used to be value in having friends that had a different opinion on topics and a different political makeup. And it seems that now in social media, that concept is shunned. And that's mind boggling to me.
Yeah, it is. It's people seem to have made up their minds about things, and nothing will shift them from that perspective. The idea of debating it or talking about it, and actually enjoying that process seems to have gone out the window. I mean, maybe that's part of. I mean, maybe that's been exacerbated by the pandemic, and we're all locked down. So maybe we're mentally locked down as well.
I think you're probably hitting on something that's absolutely accurate. I know that intolerance has gone up, by orders of magnitude here in California. And what we're seeing on videos, which you addressed in All Bones Are White with policing and racism, those are
Yeah.
things that when I was younger with Martin Luther King, I would have thought that we would have progressed a lot further by now, at least here in the States.
Yeah, I would hope so. Really, it goes to prove that maybe we're not as smart as we think we are. Um, it's a terrible thing to say, but I don't hold a great deal of hope out for humanity as a species. Um, we keep getting as far as we get, and then we seem to circle back, and we're in a circle back place at the moment. We can't seem to pull together and learn from it. And make things right. And we should be able to by now because we know damn well what's wrong. So why can't we rectify it? It's nonsensical to me.
I know it's absolutely mind-boggling. You're right. What's wrong is lit up in neon, and we can't seem to come to a consensus on how you fix that.
Well, I know. It's because, I mean, you know, sort of Brexit is maybe a tiny example of that. The notion of pulling away from togetherness,
Yeah.
which I found kind of weird. Anyway, it's. I don't want to harp on the bleak nature of the way things are, because I think I harped on about enough in the album. It's just that I don't understand how the supposedly smartest animal on the planet can be so fucking stupid sometimes.
I absolutely agree with that. I'm going to ask you one more question about the album with Song of Hate. That seemed
Yeah,
almost like it was directed at one person, and it kind of seemed to me like it was more personal than being directed at a political figure. Was it one particular person in mind, or was it kind of a conglomeration?
I would call it a Frankenstein monster, if you like, of all the people that I've had bad dealings with over my various careers, who I thought were going to be really smart and clever and pleasant, but turned out to be complete arseholes. And so it's kind of a tribute to them.
Yeah.
Because one thing I did find out that coming across this kind of person was beneficial in the end, because I learned things. I learned what to avoid, what to look out for, what to, you know, my instincts became a little bit more honed. And so you know, my antenna are working a little bit better now.
Yeah, and again, I think that goes back to our generation. You know, we found value in other opinions because we knew then why we actually believed the way we did. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, unfortunately, I'm one of those people who think the best of people, whoever they are, when I meet them, unless something is startlingly obvious that they're not. Yeah, but you know, there are some pretty fucked up people out there, and I think all of us meet them at some points in our life. They're not really, at least not obviously helpful, but you do learn things from them.
Yeah. Well, you know that we'll move on to other things with 10cc. That's where
Yeah.
everybody kind of knows you from, but your career has been a lot more varied than that. But I wanted to check with you. I know Neil Sedaka played a big role in the formation and how things progressed. Tell me exactly what his influence was on the band.
Well, it was a very sort of off the cuff sentence, really. I mean, we've been working together with him. We produced two albums for Neil at Strawberry Studios in Manchester, and we were producing the albums, but we were also the house band on the album. So we were playing, we were producing, we were doing what we did. And he said at some point during proceedings, he said, you guys are really great. You're great producers, and you're great singers, you're great players. Why don't you form a band? And it was like, yeah, why don't we form a band? It was so ridiculously obvious. It was a pathetic light bulb going off, you know? It was like, okay, that's a very sensible decision. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
But for some unknown reason, it never really occurred to us.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Do you still stay in touch?
With Neil?
Yes.
Haven't seen or spoken to Neil for a long time. Lost touch with Neil for a while. No, haven't been in touch with him for years. It's a long time ago, though, isn't it? Really, you're talking.
It is
70 something. Yeah.
And I know that with 10cc, Donna was kind of the first big thing that went to #2, and then it was followed by Rubber Bullets that really got you guys rocketed when it went to #1.
Yeah.
How did because that was fairly quick success for you. How did that feel?
It felt great.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
um, there was a track in between that was a complete flop,
Yes.
actually, called The Worst Band. No, not The Worst Band. It was called Johnny Don't Do It. I think because Donna was such a surprise hit, we didn't really know who we were. Donna, in fact, was written as a B-side to something else.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, it was written originally as a B-side to a song that we thought was going to be our first record, but didn't turn out to be. That wasn't actually that good. So, you know, Donna was written and recorded quite quickly. And subsequently, as you rightly said, became a number 2 hit. And so we were caught on the hop, as it were.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, as one naturally did in those days, we thought, oh, we've had a hit with something that sounds basically doo-wop. We've got this other one that we've also recorded that sounds similar. Let's pop that one out and see if that has the same effect. And of course it didn't. And I don't know, the lesson we learned from that, and something that's stuck with me all the time, is that really it's not about calculation. It's not about planning. It's really about instinct. At least the process of making music is. If you do something that feels good, but and do it because it feels good, not because you have to sit down and think about it. Thinking is the enemy of music, to a degree. At least it is for me.
I hear that from a lot of people. And you know, the music that y'all did, it came, you could tell, like, with the writing that you did with Lal, you guys had a chemistry that was unmistakable. Was that kind of an immediate thing when you guys met, or was it something that really was cultivated, you know, over time? I mean, tell me how you and Lal really got together as songwriters.
Well, we've known each other for a long time, since we were teenagers. We lived relatively close to each other and became fast friends. And we spent many years at art college together, fermenting various plots and plans, and most of which were slightly left field and somewhat outside the realm of whatever courses we were studying at the time. So we were sort of renegades, art renegades to a degree. So much so that when we both graduated, we were both studying graphic design, but when we both graduated, we drove from college to a recording session in London and never looked back. We never actually really took advantage of the qualifications that we got as graphic artists. We just jumped straight out of college into the music industry because it was so much more fun.
Sure. Makes sense.
So, and it was, we kind of felt the same about things. We didn't see why, why somebody should just study design or illustration or music or sculpture or anything. Why was there no possibility where any of these things could cross over? Why couldn't one thing lead to another? Why couldn't you sculpt a song, you know,
That makes
et
sense.
cetera, et cetera? And that's kind of the way we approach most things.
Yeah. I love it. I find that a lot of artists do that. They, after or even during their time with music, they're painters or sculptors. It's, you know, there's that artistic flair that expresses itself in so many different ways.
Yeah, yeah. It's the pleasure of making things,
Sure.
and that doesn't have to be. Just turned out that we spent most of our time sculpting air.
Yeah. Well, with 10cc, you guys were really known for incredible harmonies and, you know, kind of an eclectic sound as a result of different people sharing lead singing duties. Was it a competitive thing, or was it more of a cooperative thing? I mean, did you all maintain bragging rights? How did that work?
It was a bit of both, I think. I think it was good chemistry. essentially. I mean, Lol and I were a songwriting team before 10cc existed.
Hmm.
Graham was an accomplished songwriter. Eric had been in the Mindbenders and was about to become an accomplished recording engineer. So we all brought something different to the table. All of us were looking for something special, so that we could shine, I guess. So this particular unit of people, this particular foursome, um, it was complementary, but it was also competitive in the to themselves creatively throughout the process. But once a song existed and it was given to the band to interpret, that's where the complementary side came out. Everybody knuckled down and gave their best to interpret and get us the best result out of the raw material.
Lost you there for a second. Are you still there, Kevin? Kevin?
Oh.
Okay, there you are. Lost
Yeah,
you for a second there.
you've only got me in sound anyway, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. Um,
Right. Sorry. Yeah, I had a little internet moment there.
yeah, it happens with Zoom. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Uh,
No.
well, you know,
Edit point.
one part of your career that I think a lot of people may not be familiar with is that you have an extensive resume of video direction credits. I was really blown away. You have got to be one of the most accomplished directors in the business.
Thank you. It was a kind of natural switch. Um, as I said, we spent many years at art college. And so we had a visual bent before we were musicians, professional musicians. So I don't know, around about the end of the 1970s, when Lol Creme and I were a duo, we'd left 10cc and we were still making records. But we weren't a touring band, so whenever we put a record out, the only recourse we had to promote ourselves was to make a little film. And that's how it all started. We made our first music video for a song called An Englishman in New York, not the Sting
Yes.
song. And that was the first thing that we made. But we didn't actually direct it. It was directed by a professional director. But we learnt a lot during the shooting of that and the editing of that. And we fell on it like rabid dogs as a different direction for us to move in. And we were lucky enough, because of the influence we had on that particular piece, that other musicians came to us and asked us if we would like to direct clips for them. And we did, and it worked. And some of the records were hits. But I think our continued success and my continued success as a solo director, both in that medium, is probably because any people that came to us enjoyed the process more if they were communicating with someone with a musical bent, as opposed to someone who maybe came from documentaries or feature films or television.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a natural shift.
I tell you, you've worked with so many people. You two, Paul McCartney, Phil Collins, Eric Clapton, and you did the Band-Aid video for Do They Know It's Christmas, correct?
No, everybody keeps saying that. I don't know why they say that.
Oh,
I
that's
don't
what
think we did. I think we may have been involved. May have been involved in the second one. I can't remember, or a re-edit of the first one, or I honestly can't remember that far back. I mean, we were pretty we were stoners in those days, so it's
Weren't we
difficult
all?
to pin that down. Yeah, weren't we all? But it's difficult to pin down. But I wouldn't put it very high on my resume, that's for sure.
Yeah. I know that you did This Time for In Excess, which is a great video. What are your most distinct memories of Michael Hutchence?
Well, we didn't do that either.
Really?
Really? Okay, let me give you some background.
Yeah.
Well, we sort of did. Our company did.
Okay.
What happened was, around about that period of time, we set up a company called Media Lab, a production company,
Okay.
and we invited various people to join the company who were budding directors. And we mentored them to a certain extent, and a couple of them ended up really directing and completing the film for In Excess. We were sort of hovering in the background to make sure everything came together well. But Michael was lovely. They were all lovely. They were all very down to earth back then.
Yeah.
There was no sort of rock star posturing, as far as I can recall. I mean, when they hit the stage and when the lights came on and the cameras rolled, bang, they became In Excess.
Yeah.
But on either side of that, they were a really sweet bunch of guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Michael was a very down to earth, family oriented guy, and his appeal was just
Yeah.
magnetic. It was incredible.
Yeah. Well, he had it. He had that. He had the X In Excess. That's for sure.
Yeah, he sure did. Well, tell me, your years with Law Cream and Godley and Creme, phenomenal stuff. And then you guys stopped working together, and I know that Law's gone on and been continuing work, and this was the album that just came out. Muscle Memory is your first solo work. What led you to do that now?
Probably like a lot of things in my career, a sort of happy accident. Probably around about 2015, 16, a couple of people that I didn't know out of the blue sent me 2 pieces of instrumental music and asked if I'd be interested in turning them into songs, if I'd be interested in performing, writing and performing lyrics and a tune.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never written in that way before. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the results are actually on the album. The 2 tracks are Expecting a Message and the Periscope,
Mm-hmm.
both from 2 people who I'd never met in different parts of the world.
Wow.
And I had a great time doing it. It was sort of like sitting opposite somebody and writing, like one normally does, but without the hassle of having to feed them and make them coffee all day and listen to their insults about how shit my lyrics are. So it was really, it was, this is what I've written. This is what it sounds like. Can you please turn it into a song? And I was pretty much left to my own devices to do that. And all I really did in order to turn the theory into an album was open the idea up to the general public, not just professional musicians. I asked people to send me pieces of instrumental music, and I would pick some and try and turn them into songs. You know, if you want to boil it down to something as simple as that, that's exactly what it was, because I had a sense that music is no longer the sole provisions of professionals. Lots of different people can make music now. The tools exist to allow that to happen, and a lot of interesting stuff are coming out of bedsits and universities and classrooms and backs of cars because of the internet and because of the availability of electronic music equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, I know this was 4 years in the making, and that you funded it through Pledge Music, and they went bankrupt in 2019. That almost
Yep.
derailed this project.
it put the project on pause.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, okay, well, the crowdfunding thing didn't work. That didn't work at all. But what it did do, the most important thing that it did, it opened the door to finding the collaborators that I ended up working with. I got sent 200.
I lost you again, Kevin. Are you back? Kevin?
Hello. Are we back?
No,
Yep. Hello.
You were talking about the collaborators and then you cut out.
Oh, no, I was trying to say that the most important thing that Pledge Music did was it opened the door to the 286 people who wanted to work with me.
Wow.
Allowing me to choose the 12 people that I ended up working with. It is unfortunate that they went bankrupt, but I resolved to not go the crowdfunding route, because essentially I went with them initially to raise a budget to make the album professionally, properly, as opposed to a series of demos, and that never happened. I never got a penny, as did all the artists and all the pledges when it went down, which was a real shame. But thank goodness 51 State Conspiracy picked up the project and gave me enough money to finish it properly. They were very encouraging and very excited by the project, so I got to finish it.
That's great. It's nice to see something good come out of something bad like that. Well, tell me, what's next for you? What can we look forward to?
I don't know. I've got a few balls in the air.
Do you?
I've written a screenplay about Orson Welles when he was 16 years old and spent time in Ireland and made his first professional appearance on the stage at the Gate Theatre in Dublin. I've written a screenplay about that, which I'm very keen to direct. Hopefully that might happen this year or go into pre-production this year. Obviously, it depends on the pandemic. I'm very interested in video games and VR and AR. I have a number of writing projects on the slate. I have a couple of music projects buzzing around my head at the moment. So there's lots of things. There's lots of work to be done. Let's put it like that. I'm not slowing down, I'm speeding up, which is quite bizarre.
That's phenomenal.
I've never been busier in many ways.
Wow. Well, I tell you, I know that all of us are going to really look forward to what's coming next. I encourage everybody to go out and purchase Muscle Memory if you haven't got it already. It's really a fascinating album to listen to. And I want to thank you, Kevin, for being here today and being such a gentleman. I appreciate it, and I hope you'll come back with me again.
Well, that's very kind of you to say so. It was enjoyable to talk about music and answer some intelligent questions.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. I enjoyed it. So yes, I'd love to come back if we had something decent to talk about. I guess that's up to me.
Yes, that is up to you. As soon as you've got something, I'll be right on it, my man. Thank you again.
Okay, my pleasure. Take it easy, and I'm sorry about all the interruptions.
Oh, not a problem. Be blessed and stay healthy.
And you, man. Take it easy.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.